Warm greetings from Greece. I'm very, very honored and very happy and very excited to be invited today in this webinar. And I warmly thank World Peace Commission for this invitation, in particular Dr. Rania Lampou for always warmly inviting me. I'm Rania Lampou. I'm a global educator, STEM instructor, ICT teacher trainer, Education researcher, global peace ambassador, and author from Greece. I'm working at the Greek Ministry of Education, the Directorate of Educational Technology and Innovation, and also at the Greek Astronomy Space Company. Today, I will try to give an overview of the education of refugees in Greece. Why? Because in Greece, Greece hosts a big number of refugees and migrants, and this issue is a very sensitive topic for my country. Education is an instrument of social integration and a means through which we can construct identity. And at the same time, it is also a tool through which identity perceptions and understandings are developed. So the way that the dominant cultural majority frames the educational system and the values that it propagates through schooling, through methods, through curricula, expresses and defines perceptions of our own identity and understandings of the other. And just as it can be inclusive and a vehicle through which we can promote principles of social cohesion, solidarity, and equality, it can equally propagate prejudice, stereotypes, perceptions of cultural confrontation, superiority, and discrimination. Therefore, the challenge for any heterogeneous society is to meet the raised expectations for educational policies that are culturally sensitive, that enhance education, socialization, and personal development opportunities for students of all communities. Policies that are able to respond to the needs of the entire student population. One of the main challenges the government has been facing is integration into Greek society of all arrived refugees and recently arrived refugees because of the war and other migrants who remain in the country. So faced with this increasing and changing diversity as a result of immigration, Greek society has been called to respond, to adapt and formulate adequate policies through which we can manage these transformations. And of course, the education sector is probably one of the most sensitive and politically charged areas of public policy because it's defining role in identity formation, national cohesion, and national consciousness. And it's equally one of the most important sectors in socioeconomic terms. It defines access to job market, personal economic development. So how has the cultural education been designed in Greece in response to growing immigration? First of all, we have the National Protection Act. This frames education as a right and obligation on children seeking asylum in Greece. In 2016, it was an important year because the Ministry of Education took tangible measures with a view to systematically including refugee children in the national education system, specific framework drawn through a combination of old and new legislations and regulations in the form of joint ministerial decisions. So the education system for refugee children contains three features: kindergarten inside what we call reception and identification centers and mainland camps. Secondly, reception facilities for refugee education. And the third is what we call reception classes within educational priority zones, addressing children who lack the necessary Greek language skills to fully integrate into the educational system without additional support. And in this educational priority zones, students follow the mainstream curriculum alongside Greek peers in morning classes, but they take 3 hours of preparatory classes focusing on the Greek languages. This framework is supplemented by refugee education coordinators who act as a bridge between the education system and refugee families residing in these centers. We can remark decreasing actually enrollment rates, unfortunately, among students who enroll in education. And I think the worst year was the COVID pandemic, Children's access to education was challenged by this crisis, which led to record levels of exclusion of refugee children from the Greek system of education. Many children have been unable to attend school for over a year, while others have never managed to enroll. And there were factors such as during the lockdowns, due to the lack of necessary technical infrastructure for online learning at the camps, refugee camps, children were further excluded. The lack of transportation, understaffing or reception classes, negativity, reported reluctance by some local communities to the potential of children attending school, and also the inconsistent interpretation of COVID-related movement restriction policies by the Greek authorities, which actually ended up discriminating against the children who were not allowed to leave these camps in order to attend school. So the next year, 2021-22, was marked by improvements, with 90% of all refugee children being enrolled to school, but only 75% were actually attending school in March 22, and because of the dropout, which was exacerbated due to difficult living conditions of these refugees. Why drop out of school? To find work, mostly in agriculture. These people have to support their families, so they have to take care of their younger siblings for the parents to be able to find work. Many actually challenges, issues of transportation, low enrollment rates, and lack of teachers also. We can see that these teachers usually are often are employed part-time here in Greece, or for few hours, and cannot afford to relocate far from their home. So the process faces the possibility to nominate alternative teachers for this post, but this stage can take weeks or even months. So you can understand how difficult it is to cover the vacancies. And the number of recruited teachers remains insufficient also. As a result, some children enrolled in reception class in primary schools are not able to follow and interact with their peers. And another big problem here in Greece is what we call high turnover. High turnover among substitute teachers is something that undermines the quality and stability of education of refugee children, because teachers are selected according to a point system which does not include criteria such as prior experience in working with refugees, minority groups, or in teaching Greek as a second language. So teachers change every day. It's something that's a great challenge that we need to take into consideration. Risk of dropout and barriers in the asylum procedure also, which makes education of these children more difficult, precarious living conditions, interrupted living, and medical examinations, movement restrictions, especially during the COVID pandemic, and accessible remote learning. So what are in particular the specific challenges for this educational structure? Perhaps I think the most pressing issue involves the communication between teachers and refugee children, especially when very young children are concerned. Knowledge of the English language should not be taken for granted. This means communication problems and therefore difficulties in transferring knowledge. A great number of refugee children also have not attended school for several years, since some home countries are at war, and everyday routines, including education, were interrupted long ago. Even more effort is needed to successfully integrate refugee children from war zones into the education system of the host country. Another group of children who, due to the special circumstances of home countries, have never attended school, although they are of school age. Another problem is that there are no books and teaching materials suitable for refugee children. In many cases, the teaching vacancies as before, the number of the full-time teaching staff is not sufficient. The wage also of part-time substitute teachers is too low to enable them to lead a decent life, especially when they're appointed to areas away from their home. The refugee parents who refuse to allow the children to attend school, especially when they expect to leave Greece soon, or maybe there are cultural reasons that hinder some children from attending school, particularly girls. The number of children who attend these reception classes is not stable. And that means that they keep the school, other miss class, and so the school attachment is pretty loose, which of course might create additional problems when the time comes for these children to integrate into the formal education system. Refugee children over 15 years old are those more in danger of finding themselves marginalized, since they will soon have to integrate in the labor market without any qualifications. Local communities are often misinformed about refugee crisis. Some are afraid that refugee children carry many diseases, while in practice they're vaccinated before they're sent to school. And of course, there is no training for school advisors. So what could be the suggestions? What could be the ideas for interventions? First of all, refugee parents should be persuaded to allow the children to participate in education. Sociologists, psychologists would prove useful, perhaps for operation of NGOs. These reception classes should expand further in order to include hotspots on the islands. Efforts to integrate young children below 5 years old should be reinforced. It would be useful to speed up integration of refugee children into the local student population. Also a wide publicity campaign regarding refugee health issues would be useful in order to prevent reactions by local communities, as I said before, reactions that usually are fueled by ignorance and facilitate the integration of children to local school units. And also we can include classes with French, German, or other language other than Greek, because this way, this could have two effects. Refugees would reach the destination country better prepared, and it would take less time for them to integrate them, and many jobs could open up also in Greece at the time where needed most. Of course, it's necessary to safeguard teachers' working conditions, the educational process should involve special books or teaching materials which address the needs of refugee children. To a certain extent, modern technology could compensate for the lack of printed material and possibly attract the attention of young children. Education practices worldwide seem to move towards the introduction of ICT in everyday school life. And of course, it will be worthwhile to consider the possibility of hiring teachers who speak the language of refugee children, at least the most commonly used language. Apart from this, on the part of the Ministry of Education, I think that should continue to conduct regular monitoring and evaluation of the operation of these reception classes and consult the education sector on concrete ways to improve policies. The Ministry also should ensure regular publication of detailed statistics on the number of school-age refugee children present in the country, and the number of children enrolled, and the number of children actually attending. We should ensure smooth and uninterrupted access of refugee children to the public education system through establishment of required classes, recruitment of teaching staff, and transport arrangements. And of course, public health measures should not be discriminatory. In Greece, we have also some non-formal refugee education providers, such as UNICEF or United Nations Human Rights Council and other NGOs that provide humanitarian and development support to vulnerable groups of both Greek and migrant backgrounds. I think that education will not address all the needs of these extremely vulnerable children and youth, but it is an essential missing component to help them survive the unacceptable humanitarian conditions that are living today, to begin to heal and build a better future for themselves. Because I believe that the issue of education of students with a different linguistic and cultural background is not something that involves only the students who differ culturally and linguistically from the majority. Instead, it is something that concerns the whole of education, both at micro level as a social institution and at the micro level of the classroom. So thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for the invitation.